All right, good evening, everyone. Going to call to order the Economic Development Committee's March 25th special meeting. It is 6:40 p.m. Monet is going to read Governor Baker's law.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of our open government law GL C30A Section 18 and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Hubbardston Economic Development Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. No in-person attendance of any members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via Zoom. In the event that we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on town website a comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Thank you, Monet. Okay, so just want to thank everyone for their participation and giving our residents an opportunity to reach out to y'all. And I'm going to turn that over to Lori now. Thank you so much.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Lori Reed. I am the town clerk in the town of Hubbardston. We do have a panel full of people, which includes all departments in the town of Hubbardston. They will be answering questions that have come in prior to the meeting from residents. Questions further than what we covered today can be addressed to the Economic Development Committee. That information will be posted online after the meeting, as well as the answers to the questions will also be online in case somebody misses this. So basically what I'm going to be doing is asking questions, like I said, that were sent in previously, and they will be answered by various departments, either one or multiple, depending on if they affect multiple departments. So the first we're going to start with is business related questions. And so question number one is, what is the current tax rate for commercial property in Hubbardston?
I'll be happy to answer that. My name is David Nixon. I'm your acting town administrator for the next 12 months while Ryan McLean is overseas. The tax rate for Hubbardston is $14.81 per thousand for FY21. Hubbardston has a unified tax rate, so the residential and commercial tax rates are the same.
Thank you, David. Question number two, what hours are home-based businesses allowed to operate or be open?
I don't know that there's a bylaw that specifies that. Our sign bylaw has light signage that can be on and off at certain hours. But I don't know of a bylaw that has hours of operation.
No, you're right, Alice, because in our special permits for a new business, we usually set the business hours then.
Yes, that's right.
So it all depends on the business and the impact that it will have on the community.
Right, and they vary because like with when we just did a special permit was for the storage units. And we talked about, what were reasonable hours, and people want to go before and after work, and you're right. So no set hours townwide.
But there are things like noise ordinances, right, that still have to be conformed to that. So there, sort of overlapping things that would restrict, I guess, what can be done. But that would take a little bit more of a comprehensive review of things.
But actually, Dan, the town of Hubbardston hasn't adopted a noise ordinance. We're actually looking into that this week because we had some construction complaints. So it's something that personally I'm going to start looking into and what our surrounding communities have.
Yeah.
And we've had a number of complaints with dirt bikes, four-wheelers, that sort of thing as well from a noise standpoint too. So all of that probably falls under the same or can fall under the same enforcement requirement.
Absolutely.
our special permits, we do put construction hours in them and to limit the noise as conditions, as well as business of operation. So,
Okay, perfect. So there's a few obviously different answers. So, I mean, basically, if people have business questions or additional questions, obviously it would be directed to the board that can go through the EDC and they can kind of filter out where that goes. So question number 3, if you have a farm, do you need any permits or license to sell any of the following? Fruits, veggies, flowers, Christmas trees, eggs, meat, milk, honey, wreaths, or crafts. So there was quite a few items in there, but a whole lot.
So, hi, I'm Kathy Hansgate, Chairman of the Board of Health, and I'm also a certified organic farmer in Hubbardston. So the fact is that you can sell fruits and vegetables without any permits as whole products, without slicing or cutting. Honey and maple syrup are also okay to sell directly to other businesses in town or individuals without permits. Flowers, crafts, wreaths, and Christmas trees are not part of our Board of Health code. But as a farmer, I know that if you're having a little stand, it is okay to sell those without any special permits. Excuse me. Eggs must be stored below 45 degrees at all times in a cooler, and with, weekly and or daily thermometer checks. As far as the Board of Health is concerned, if you are going to try and sell milk and meat, you do need to get permits from the Board of Health.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add? I don't believe so. I believe that falls under the Board of Health. So number 4, what concerns do our police department have about a marijuana business opening up?
So Sergeant Kuchar here for the Hubbardston Police Department. We don't have a ton of concerns other than I'm sure there'll be increased traffic in areas at any of the retail establishments that we may have to deal with. So we'll have to see how that plays out as things open up. For an officer safety standpoint on the overnight shift, we typically have one officer working. So we'll probably have to look into ways to have other coverage at night. So when officers are checking these businesses to ensure that nobody's breaking into them and things like that, that it's safe for them. Other than that, I don't see any other issues that we may come across at this time. Obviously, there's been businesses that have been opened up in other jurisdictions and everything like that, and they seem to be managing pretty well without any issues. So I don't think it'll be too bad.
if I can
Part
just,
of the real quick, part of the impact fee that was negotiated, standard, contract language with the facilities that are going to be operating has to do with dealing with that sort of thing, with additional coverage from police or whatever is required. So the money that we'll be receiving eventually should and will be sort of allocated as needed to satisfy keeping things, safe.
and I just wanted to add, as the planning board, even the outdoor grow facilities, they have private security companies that have cameras and monitor them 24 hours a day. Because we're just going through the permitting process. So a lot of that a lot of them, at least the monitoring situation doesn't fall only on our police. It's private security.
So number 5, can I include my yard for my home-based business? And would my yard have to be included in the 20% I'm currently allowed? Or is the front yard free from that?
That's a zoning enforcement officer question. I don't think he's here. So my suggestion for any new business that wants to come to town, whether it be in a commercial zone or residential as a home business is to come to the building form and submit what's called a zoning request form, which will give our Commissioner Roland Jean a chance to take a look at the parcel, what's on the lot, and make any determinations if it's an allowed by right use or if it needs to go for variances or special permitting through other boards.
Thank you. So number 6, what is the financial impact on taxpayers of Hubbardston for the hiring of a temporary town administrator while our current administrator is on military leave with pay?
I think I should answer that one. So Mr. McLean is going to be paid by the military, I think, starting on March 29th. So the rest of the year will not be, his salary will not go to him, but rather the half the salary will go to me. I'm working 20 hours a week as opposed to the standard 40. So there's actually going to be a little bit of a break to the taxpayers. Next year, we'll have to fully fund his contract. But I'm going to be working again for 20 hours a week, and only for the first 4 or 5 months for that period.
And David, did we increased, Aaron, we increased your hours too, right? So that was sort of some of the additional money that wasn't expended due to the non-full-time administrator. Aaron will be taking over some of those duties as well.
Yes, you increased my hours by an additional 5 per week. So it gives just a little bit more coverage while David is in the office only part-time. So we kind of split the week. He's here 3 days, I'm here 3 days as well, but we have some alternating days where it's just one of us in the office to have some coverage.
Question number 7, can a business license or permit, and it shows for a legal business, of course, be denied? Who makes that decision and what criteria is that decision based on?
So again, before starting a business, it would be a good idea to start within the building permit so that our zoning enforcement officer, who's charged with taking a look to make sure that these businesses are allowed by right or use in the district in which they're located, it's something that's allowed. And if it's something that's not allowed or requires a special permit through the planning board, he would be the one to kind of direct the applicant to where they need to go. I hope that made sense.
For permits that are issued by a board, like the select board or the Board of Health or building inspector, if there's bad performance on the part of the license holder, that could be grounds for holding a hearing with the intent of either correcting the actions or withdrawing the permit. Similarly, if people don't pay their taxes or other municipal charges, there's a process in the law to revoke or suspend a license. So I think the bottom line is you have to actually work pretty hard to get your license yanked.
Great, perfect. So
Hey,
question
real quick, Lori, sorry. Hey, Whit, can I just jump in real quick? Because I'm going to have to take off and I can just say a couple things. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Galanti from the Select Board. Just wanted to, before I have to take off, I wanted to just give a quick update on sort of some stuff in the town center, because it's this is economic development. This is sort of what things are going to look like. And a couple of very exciting things are happening right now. So I think a lot of people know about the town center project that's been going on. The town center committee started in 2015. So we're in year 6 now, and we have an approved project, and it's slated for going out to bid early next year for construction in 2022. So that is a full reconstruction from the end of the rec field all the way to Elm Street, which is the street where the school is on, to just, a once in a generation sort of project. That's going to connect the 2 recent projects, Route 68 South, which goes to Rutland, and 68 North, recently completed, that goes to Gardner, to have a completed, trunk corridor that's going to come up through Hubbardston and give us something that, really, really going to be proud of. In addition to that, in this same area, as I was speaking earlier before we got on, the Parks Department through the Community Preservation Act and the town's vote for it is very close in this year to be putting together a brand new fantastic playground that is also one of those things that's been coming or needed to come for a long time, and it's going to be some collaboration with the DPW taking down the existing one, fitting that in, and then the new one coming up, and it's going to be great. And then a couple other things is part of Travis's Travis Brown, the DPW director, part of his annual what he can do most for the money that he gets from the state. Chapter 90 Williamsville Road will be worked on this year, which comes off the obviously Main Street. And then we are applying for some additional grants for High Street through the Transportation Improvement Project program with the state, as well as what's called the Complete Streets, similar to the Elm Street sidewalk that was completed last year. So we've got a lot of things. We're doing absolutely everything we can with other people's money as much as possible to be able to get this sort of, as I said, main trunk corridor to a condition that we can be proud of. So anyway, that was just a quick update there, but I've got to take off. But thanks everyone for coming, and have a good night.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, question 8, and this says that it's for 3 different departments, but again, if it fits anybody else, please feel free to chime in. So question number 8, this question is for the police department, the fire department, and the DPW. What are your thoughts about the proposed commercial district? What impacts on your departments do you foresee? And what, if any, concerns do you have? And they did say thank you.
Hi, this is Travis, Hubbardston DPW. It would be nice to bring in the added business. The impact I see road-wise is the heavy traffic, which would speed up the deterioration of our roads. There'd be much more traffic than the average traffic we normally have. That's all I got.
For the fire department, to tell you the truth, I actually tried to look for this plan, and I couldn't find any information on it. So, but overall, it would be based on specifically on what type of businesses were going in there would be the concern, as far as things of chemical storages, fire load, water supply that would be closest. We don't have town water, so everything for us is based on streams and ponds. So depending on where particular business was going to go and the size of it, water would be a huge issue. And then also you're going to get into bigger buildings and sprinkler systems. It's not things that we're not accustomed to dealing with, because we do go mutual aid to Gardner, and they have larger commercial buildings. So we do have some experience with those types of buildings. But like I said, it would be specific to each building that was going to, or business that would be proposed to be put in this district.
Ryan Kuchar, Sergeant Kuchar, do you have anything else to add?
No, I would just echo the one traffic concern that Travis said. As the commercial districts are great for the town because they're bringing in money, but we do need to look at where they are and what kind of traffic is coming into town and speed limits in the area to make sure that it's safe for people coming in and out of those businesses to enter the roadway. Those would be our only concerns. Other than that, I don't see anything else.
Perfect. So question number 9, how much land or acreage do I need to have to start a small agricultural or / farming business?
Perhaps I can answer that if there's no one from the Agricultural Commission participating.
There's not.
I do not see anybody.
So again, I'm Kathy Hansgate, and I'm a certified organic farmer in Hubbardston, and was on the Ag Commission in the past. Typically, a housing lot is 2 acres, and therefore, if you want to do any agricultural farming business, then you need more than 2 acres. And it can be as big or little as you want to make it. If you're looking for certain grant programs from MDAR, Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, in regards to maybe putting up a greenhouse or whatever, the minimum is then at least a ½ acre or more. And again, it depends on what agricultural business you're trying to start. If it's animals, animals require a certain amount of space for grazing, and so it's very hard to answer this general question because it becomes specific to the type of agricultural business you're trying to have.
Okay.
Okay, so in that case, again, further questions on that can be addressed through the EDC, which would go to the Agricultural Commission for, specified information. So question number 10, what does it take to have a certified kitchen in your home to sell food?
I'd like to answer that. Actually, the correct term is residential kitchen, not certified. And there are multiple parts to this question because there's a number of types of residential kitchens. Residential kitchen license may only include cottage food products, and these foods are ones that can safely be held at room temperature, including baked goods, jams, and jellies. A wholesale residential kitchen operation requires that foods not only are produced safely and held at room temperature, we don't require refrigeration. Anything commercial requires and or wholesale operations, they must be permitted by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. Examples of some food products that cannot be prepared or sold under a residential kitchen is cream-filled pastries, cheesecake, custard, cut fruits and vegetables, tomato and barbecue sauce, pickled products, relishes, and salad dressings. All those types of products require a commercial kitchen license. In Hubbardston, in order to get a residential kitchen permit, you have to provide proof of that you've participated in a food safety course called ServSafe, allergen awareness, your water needs to be tested, and there are biannual inspections that are done by inspectors in the town, and you have to apply and be approved for your permit for all the requirements that you have that you're going to, all the products you're going to make annually. It's every year you must reapply. And on our website, you can find out some of the other guidelines as to how to operate a residential license. If you're participating in farmers markets, there's a guide there as to what's required when you bring products to a farmers market or a town fair as well.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. ServSafe classes, obviously, you can say yay or nay with this, but we don't offer them through the town, but community colleges and stuff around, or, there are different places to get them. I believe we did have a contact, but that's not something that, we do offer, just so people know.
Correct.
There's also a course that's offered in Westminster at least once a year.
Okay, perfect. So if people are looking for that, obviously reach out and we can get information of where, you can sign up for the class. So question number 11, why aren't we able to have other food/coffee house establishments? Is it because of the water or lack of? Nobody?
I guess I can take it. So I'm not too sure what we are meaning by not allowed. They are most definitely allowed. We don't have any limits, so they would just have to meet zoning requirements and meet the requirements for grease traps and for any commercial septic. If it needs to be a public water source, then we have to meet the qualifications for becoming a public water source in a commercial district with just well options available. There was another part to that question that I'm not grabbing. I'm missing. Can you reread it?
So they just asked if it was because of the water or lack of, so just by being on the board from previously, under the Board of Selectmen, I know that there were questions about, and I'm kind of feeling that this might be it, is kind of, instead of when they say coffee or food, I'm thinking kind of like a drive-through, because I know that that's a big request. So I don't know if it's pertaining to that, where in, you know,
Sure.
and the lack of water, meaning that we don't have public water in town.
Right.
But I didn't write the question, so
No
I'm not
worries.
sure if that's what I'm feeling from it.
Yeah. So the lack of public water really isn't an issue because you can always tap into a well and become a public water source yourself, which is quite expensive. As far as the drive-through goes, it's just a part of our bylaws that were written a long time ago. So
Okay, perfect. So if we didn't answer that question correctly, again, you know, reach out. You know, like I said, we're unclear of what exactly you're looking for, but we'd be happy to help. So number 12, is there anything we can do to illuminate some of our side streets? It's dangerous trying to walk anywhere in the evening or at night, and especially during the winter, it gets dark early during my home-based business hours.
This is Travis, Hubbardston DPW. I believe we would have to talk with the board on it. We'd have to list the street, the locations of where they would like the lights. And then obviously see what the cost is to do that.
And we do have a light list in town, right, Travis? I think remembering back, we did have a light list showing where the lights were placed currently, if they were on, what, you know, what size bulb was in them, or, you know, whatever they use. So we do have a list as well, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So if it's a matter of turning on a street light versus adding a street light, that would probably still kind of go through you.
Yeah, when I did it years ago, we had gone through the town, and any lights that were vacant or we couldn't afford, we had removed, but they weren't on any side streets. They were, I think a lot of them were down Main Street.
Okay. So again,
Okay, Travis, can you just clarify which board someone would have to contact?
It would be the select board.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. There's a street light out in front of our farm at 143 Williamsville Road that was not lit. And I contacted the National Grid, and it's a low lumen bulb, and I paid for it to be lit to help light the hillside where the Williamsville Road drops off and has a bend in it, and it runs about $12 a month.
Wow, terrific.
So that is a possibility. If there's a street light that's not lit, that you can call National Grid directly if you're willing to pay for the monthly fee.
Okay.
Yes, the ones in town, those are incandescents. The ones that I did all in LED. So if you see one that's older, it's usually a personally owned, like from Grid.
I think question number 13 we're on. I think this was already pretty much addressed. So, I mean, if there's just a quick list again, where can we find a list of food items that can be made in our homes without a commercial or certified kitchen, as they put? I think you may have already answered that.
If it comes to preparing food in your home to resell, You do need a residential kitchen license. And if you have any questions about the specifics, you can contact Mallory at our Board of Health, which is extension 209.
Okay.
This was kind of answered by Dan. So Katie, I don't know. We don't have anybody from the town center committee, but they're wondering what are some of the cosmetic improvements that are being considered for the town center project? How will these improvements attract visitors, new businesses, and new residents?
Yeah, that is definitely a Dan question. He's the one on the town center committee. I do know that they are improving the sidewalks and the crosswalks and things like that, and they are improving. There is going to be a bike path that goes down through and things like that. So it is going to be more walkable. So that's a plus, and they are trying to improve the parking as well. If I remember correctly, for the school in front, it's going to be more of a, rather than pull up to the side of the street, if I remember the plans correctly, it was like a kind of a diagonal park down the street. So hopefully we can fit some more cars in there without causing accidents when there's school pickup and things. I know right now, a lot of people still are picking up their kids, even with COVID, you know, going on. It's always kind of a zoo, but the police are working very well down there, trying to keep it all straightened out when the school pickup time is. So that's a plus. But yeah, there's a lot of integration with walking and bicycling and things like that. So to try to make the town a little bit more user friendly for pedestrians. Yeah, I'm not totally sure what else. What was the rest of the question? Sorry, I guess sidetracked there.
So it just basically said, how will these improvements attract visitors, new businesses, and new residents?
Do we know anything about streetlights with that project?
I knew they were doing there was a, they got a grant, if I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, to do the underground conduit, but there is no money for the streetlights right now, like to make like fancy ones, but they were putting the underground conduit in. So hopefully maybe in the future that we could have something a little bit more picturesque in the center of town rather than these ugly ass telephone poles that are leaning and lights everywhere. And yeah, something a little bit more, you know, just nice town, you know, New England, old school kind of thing. But we'll see how that goes, because the price tag was rather pricey. I just remember that it was like a lot of money and the town didn't have it at the moment. So
Thanks.
maybe somebody will hit the lotto and just pay for it. It'd be great.
Maybe we could do a lamppost fundraiser, you know, donate a lamppost to the town or something.
Yeah.
I also know that they were putting in a sidewalk from GFA up to the rec field, so it made it easier for people that were at the rec field to come down to stores and get back and forth, which it would end up at like Mr. Mike's or the diner or something like that.
I think there's a traffic calming feature to this project as well.
The traffic what, sorry?
Calming.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know on the town center committee, they did have it, like again, previously, I know Dan and Alicia had sent in a lot of changes, and the maps might be online under the town center committee. They usually have a meeting, I believe it's once a month. They did not have one this month, you know, so again, you can reach out to them. Their contact information is on their website, and like I said, maps may be on there. But I mean, it will definitely improve the look and, you know, and everything as well. So that would be nice. So question number 15, if approved, who will oversee the expansion of home-based businesses and the commercial district?
I don't know. I mean, to the extent that it's a business that requires a permit, a special permit, or then it would come to the planning board. Otherwise, they could put their plans up and it would be the zoning enforcement official. You know, he's the one that would check parking and, you know, many other, all the building aspects.
If there's an annual inspection, that might fall under the fire department, Board of Health, some other board. So it would be a shared responsibility, building inspector, Board of Health, fire department, select board. It depends on what we're talking about.
Okay. So probably a good place to start would be Mallory. She is in the land use department. It's kind of been all grouped into one department. She handles a lot of departments and wears many hats, to include the Board of Health, the Conservation Commission, Building Department, Planning Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals. I think I got them all. I think there's 5. So she is at extension 209. I'm sorry, Mallory. We keep up onto you. I'm next to you in the same office, so Monday is going to be a little bit awkward. So number 16, does a town require home businesses to have any special insurance?
The town doesn't have any specific requirements, but any business that you own is going to require some type of liability insurance. So the best person to speak with would be an insurance agent.
Great. So number 17, the old, dilapidated, neglected, and abandoned homes that are littered throughout town look awful and don't encourage growth or tourism. Can we insist the homeowners clean them up? And what about the commercial spaces such as Breezy Hill Corners? They look awful too. What can we do about that?
So if there is a safety issue that you see at any home or business, then it can be directed to the Board of Health. And you need to contact our office and fill out an official complaint so that our board can investigate it, whether it's due to excessive trash problems, creating animals that you don't want around, whether it's oil spills from a business not properly disposing of things. All of that has to do with safety and the aquifer safety in the area. And those complaints and concerns, we do require an official complaint to be filed, and then we can investigate. Unfortunately, we can only, like everyone else, encourage our neighbors to take care of things as best as they can.
Number 18, what can be done about unleashed dogs or dogs without fencing that roam the streets and our yards? I have a customer who couldn't get out of the car because of a neighbor's dog that stood there barking and growling at him. If nobody wants to take this, I will gladly answer. This would go to our animal control officer. So we are regionalized with Gardner. We have 3 animal control officers that work out of that office who are also animal inspectors. So they will inspect barns and other things, but they are the ones that are going to enforce any laws, about leashing or things like that. We do have town bylaws that they abide by, but if we don't have a bylaw that relates to that, then it would fall to Mass General Law, and that is what they do. They are very helpful. I have, they're checking in on different things. I've had a couple of people that have called with complaints about things, when I will forward them to them, and they've been taken care of. So you can always look at our website under the animal control, and their phone numbers are listed there, and their office is out of the Gardner office, down by the PACC on West Broadway, I think, in Gardner. But it's best to call, obviously, with COVID going on. Okay,
Terrific.
moving on. Number 19, where are we in the process of approving / rejecting proposals for cannabis, agriculture, and retail businesses in town?
I can answer a little bit of that. Mallory can help me. So the planning board, you have to, if you want to do any kind of a marijuana business in town, you have to get a special permit. And we're in the process of considering 2 special permits at the moment. Neither one have been granted. They are both at this point just outdoor grow facilities. One hopes to expand and become a shop, perhaps next year. And those are the first 2 through the gate. So that's where it stands.
Okay, so good place to start is Alice, or Mallory in the planning board. And then, you know, they will direct you where to go further if it moves in a further direction, I guess would be best. Number 20, what would you need to make body scrubs, essential oil remedies, beauty products, and soaps out of your home?
So I'd like to answer that. If you're going to start up a business like that, you need to get a business license and approval from the local zoning authority. The Board of Health, however, does not officially regulate this. And anyone who's interested in doing that should check with all the state codes prior to starting. And Mallory, if you call the Board of Health, Mallory can direct you to where to find those codes.
Okay. Question number 21, why can't we have a business that has a drive-through?
Because it's not allowed in the zoning ordinance. You could change the ordinance if people want to petition to have it changed. Yet it would take a 2/3 vote of the town meeting.
Okay. So the process of that would be they would start a petition. So, you know, go to probably David, you know, maybe for guidance on that, if that's something they wanted to do, and then go to town meeting. But that would be an actual vote that needed to be done to make that change, correct?
Right, and it would have to be specific. What zone would you allow it in, you know, and
Call Alice and call David with that question. So number 22, is there a pamphlet with instructions about what steps to take to start a business here in town?
I'm going to answer that. Hi, it's Whitney Freiberg, Chair of the Economic Development Committee. We are currently finalizing a small business guide. I'm waiting for a little bit of feedback from 1 or 2 departments in some pages that we thought needed a little bit more information to be included. And as soon as that's done, we're ready to go to print, and it'll be available also in PDF. So people can get it online, or they'll be available, you know, in various offices throughout the town. But I expect that that would be done hopefully by June 1st, available for everybody to receive. A lot of information in that, and we've been working on it for about 1.5 years. So we're almost done. Just waiting for a little bit more information from 1 or 2 departments.
Okay, perfect. And if we can get that out at, you know, around that time, if it comes out, you know, maybe that's something that we could have available at town meeting. Meeting to be held the first Tuesday in June. So everybody is aware. Tuesday, June 1st, mark your calendar. We need a quorum. Okay, anybody else on that one? No. Okay, number 24. What would you need to have a bed and breakfast out of your home? And does it matter if you only bring in the breakfast from a local restaurant rather than make it?
So the Board of Health would need a little bit more information on their operation. However, all foods need to be kept at the required safety temperatures, and your kitchen would still need to be licensed, and food handling serve safe would also be a requirement that you would have to have in order for this to take place correctly.
Okay, that's perfect.
I'm going to ask Kathy something. Kathy, if a meal was included in the rental of the room, does it fall under those same rules and regulations?
Absolutely, you're still serving food.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with that they're paying for the food?
Nope.
Okay.
It's a business, which obviously still needs a business permit, and then if you're serving food as a business, you need to get kitchen licenses and everything that goes with that.
Okay.
And just one more note is guest houses and bed and breakfast establishments are allowed as of right in a residential district, which is our most restrictive district, so you would not have a zoning issue.
Good news.
You wouldn't have to go and get a special permit to do it, so I'm trying to say.
Just
Great.
a permit to operate a business.
Right, and you'd have to, you'd have to satisfy maybe other things that like your parking and your, but
Correct,
you don't need to come seek permission to do it through a special permit.
correct.
Let's see. Number 25, is there somewhere I can find out if there's any vacant lots in town for rent for a business idea I have, or do I have to hire a realtor?
We don't keep an active list of them in the building department or in the assessor's department. So if you're looking for a vacant lot, it would require some research, either on your own end or with a real estate agent.
So 26, does the Board of Health have a website where we can find updates specific to our Board of Health, especially during COVID? And if not, can you please include updates on your page for the town website?
Well, we have been posting on the Board of Health website and on Facebook and with weekly updates for COVID since last March. So please, look for any new updates on those sites. They have been updated regularly.
And I know Mallory, obviously because we work in the same building, there's been a lot of calls about COVID, and I know I've seen questions come about where people are, wondering for numbers and stuff. And I know that there's also certain stuff that you guys cannot release, because it's confidential information. So what's being released is what we can release, and there are certain things that we can't.
Thank you for adding that in.
Yeah. So number 27, do you need anything special to make and sell hot/barbecue sauces, pickles, maple syrup, applesauce, butter, or jellies or jams?
For hot barbecue sauces, pickles, applesauce/butter, you need a commercial kitchen license. Jams, jellies require a residential kitchen license. Maple syrup does not require a license. But remember to follow all regular non-time temperature controls for your food safety. So it is wise to take a food safety class so that you feel comfortable in what you're doing.
Okay. Question number 28. Whenever there's a snowstorm, the snow along Main Street gets plowed onto the sidewalks and people have to walk in the middle of the street. Main Street, the church, and Town Common are one of the few attractions for visitors. Do you have any plans or ideas to fix this problem?
This is Travis Brown, Hubbardston DPW Director. Unfortunately, that is where the snow ends up from plowing the roads. The time in which we get to the walkways depends on the storm and the time that it ends. The walkways are plowed after we have finished cleaning off the streets, public office parking lot, and the school. So unfortunately, with this 5-man crew, 6 including me, we all have routes. So the streets are main priority, and we do get to the walkways to make sure people can get around safe.
Okay. Question number 29. Do you need a special permit to fix/rebuild cars out of your garage, like a side business or just a project hobby that you can sell the finished product?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I could look it up. Tell them to call Mallory and we'll look it up for them.
In order to sell vehicles in Massachusetts, you have to have a dealer's license, and that's a license that the select board gives out. It would all depend on the zoning that the business was in as well, if there would be any special permits needed from any other boards.
So that actually falls under different class licenses. You have a class 1, 2, and 3. There's different licenses in Massachusetts. They are required to be renewed each year. They do require a building inspection, fire inspection every year as well. And it does go before the select board. So it is something that if you are interested in, you do need to approach the select board about.
And I think there's a bond that you have to take out in order to qualify as a used car salesman.
Yes, thank you. There is. For each different class level, there are different levels of bonding that you do need to have, and that is part of the license, and you do need to have that when you go to apply to have that type of license.
Thank you. Do you need any special permits to make and sell homemade dog and or cat treats?
So in Hubbardston, our Board of Health does not regulate animal treats. However, that does come under the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture, and you would have to go to the Mass MDAR website in order to find out the regulations that are required for doing that.
Are there, number 31, are there any rules or guidelines about what new buildings for businesses along Route 68 can look like?
As of right now, no.
Just a sign bylaw, correct? That like if somebody were to put a sign out, that would
Right.
be the thing that as of right now, but I know that's being worked on as well, so that could change. So question number 32, do you need any special permits to sell dried herbs or make homemade tea blends?
So if you're selling dried herbs that are grown by yourself and you're selling directly to your customer, then our Board of Health does not need to do any special inspections or anything, or licenses or permits. For homemade tea blends, you would need to go to the State Board of Health and FDA to find out what the guidelines are for making homemade tea blends. That does not fall directly under Board of Health in our town.
Thank you. Number 33, and this is our last question under the business related questions. It is 7:32. I know talking to Whitney previously, and Whitney, you can let me know, but I know you wanted to keep it around 90 minutes, so we still have time. If everybody's good, we'll work on to the non-related business questions after this one.
Good.
Okay. So
That'd
do
be-
you need a special permit to make and sell candles? Is 33.
Again, that would depend on the type of operation you're looking to run. If it's going to be a home business versus a full-blown Yankee Candle operation, we would need more information before we could give an answer like that. And they can contact me in the land use department to get started.
Okay, perfect. So moving on to non-business related questions. Question number 1, are there any plans for an emergency shelter for our residents?
The Board of Health in an emergency situation has plans in place to set up as a dispensary site where we can have cots and be a place of shelter at the elementary school.
Okay. We also do have a emergency management committee, I guess you'd say, in town that is run by Dennis O'Donnell. He's one of the head people on there as well. So he would be another good outreach for that question. Number 2, hey, Bob, it goes to you. Our fire department does a great job. Can we meet them? Do they have an open house for residents to stop by and meet them?
I'd like to pass on this question. No, I mean, obviously, during COVID times, things changed, but, we're always at, field day. We're at the town fair, other activities. We're always having groups in like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts for various tours. Um, People are always welcome to come by the station, especially as the warmer weather. Usually we're outside with the apparatus for maintenance and stuff like that. So if somebody just wants to stop in, that's always welcomed. But yeah, we try to be out there in the community, and you're always free to stop by and say hi, take a quick tour if we're available.
Okay, I'll be there tomorrow morning for breakfast, so have that
I
ready.
didn't mean you, Lori.
I didn't figure you did. So
Just-
yeah, cops are out, we have a lot of people like a lot of us go to field day, so you can always find people there. That's a good way. I know Katie is working on that. That's upcoming this year, so that will be nice. We can actually see people again. So great, perfect, thank you. Question number 3, who should I contact about dangerous road conditions? How do I contact them?
Travis Brown, DPW Director. I would be the one that you would contact, and you can contact me through either email, highway@hubbardstonma.us, or 7 to 3 by phone, 978-928-1408.
And that information is on the town website under the town of Hubbardston, so you can always find them that way as well, with their contact information. Question number 5, how do I sign up to be put on a town email list? And is the email list the best way to keep informed? So we had an issue with our town website recently, not somebody on this panel right here by the name of Katie maybe brought it to our attention. Through. So if you did not get emails previously, there was an issue with the website. It has since been fixed. They are coming through to me now, because I subscribe to make sure they're working. So you can, in the upper right-hand corner, I believe it's on our page, or maybe it's on the left and under the hub. I should have looked to see where it was, but there's an area to subscribe, and you can select the different groups that you want to subscribe to. So, if you want certain updates, you can opt in or out of certain ones. We put stuff on the sign at Clark's Corner. We put stuff on the electric sign out by Curtis Rec Field. We put a sandwich board outside. So we try to get as many, as much information as we can, but you can only fit so many letters on those boards that we have. So, so like I said, always check online, or, you can call us and we can always let you know what's going on.
Yeah, the subscribe button is under the hub on the town website. And you can subscribe to all kinds of different emails and notifications. The town sends them out all the time now. I get all kinds of information now, thankfully. Not that I didn't get it before, but I want to make sure when I send something out, it goes out to people. But the other option is not only with the sandwich boards and the Clark's Corner is, we do have a gauntlet of Facebook pages. The EDC has one. There's the Hubbardston Celebration. There's the town. There's a bunch of different avenues there's Twitter accounts. There's Instagram accounts. hell, I even got a Snapchat. But yeah, so we're trying all different means to get the information out. There's also, at some points we even sent out postcards. So at this point, if you don't get the information, you ain't looking hard enough. It's there. You just got to reach out and grab it. So that's all I got. Sorry, I'll move on.
No, you're fine. So question number 6, police department. Does our police department have any suggestions about how to stop people from speeding on our streets?
We're open to suggestions. No, we're here to help, obviously. The best way we can probably help with speeding is to run radar and increase our presence in the areas that are of concern. So the residents can kind of help us by giving us a time frame when the speeding is noticed the most. So we can increase patrols at those times. We have 88 miles of road to patrol, so if we're gonna do directed patrols, it helps to know a time frame. Also, if it's like repeat offenders, the same vehicle all the time, if it's safe to do so, and they can get a license plate number, a description of the vehicle, that'll help us identify and speak with the people that are speeding. We can do that as well. Obviously, anybody that files a complaint, we're not going to release your identity to the people that are speeding. So that's probably the best thing we can do.
And what is the best way for them to contact if they do see somebody speeding?
So they can contact us. They can leave me a voicemail at 978-928-1400, extension 102. They can also leave one on extension 101, that is Sergeant Fort's voicemail. Or if it's something where they think they need an immediate response, they can contact dispatch at 978-928-1405. That's the business line that'll get you a dispatcher.
Okay, perfect. And we'll make sure all that information is on the police page. We'll make sure that's up to date, with that information for contacts as well. So again, go to the town of Hubbardston and, we have different departments, we have different groups, committees, and, we'll make sure that's as up to date as possible. So question number 7, having a community center that includes programs for our seniors would appeal to more and be supported by a larger audience. What do you think?
True. All right.
I know kind of a, what does everybody think? But so I can say that the Capital Improvement Planning Committee is having a meeting. The chair of that was actually the previous Board of Selectmen, Michael Stouter. So he is working on that. They did post a meeting for next week. I did post a couple meetings, so I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head the date of it. But
Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Perfect.
Tuesday. It's either 6 or 7. One of those two.
Hours of 6 and 7.
Something like
meeting, and they're talking about building infrastructure, and potential buildings in town. So I know, like I said, again, from being on the Board of Selectmen previously, there were different buildings that were discussed, to house either just public safety or everybody. So that conversation is coming back up again. It hasn't really gone away, but it will be discussed next week.
it's 7 o'clock. I just looked it up. 7.
Tuesday at 7. And that is on the meeting calendar with the link as well. Number 9, is there a safe and confidential way to voice concerns to our police department?
So we can be obviously on anonymous complaints or concerns are welcome. We'd prefer to know who the person is so that we can follow up with them and make sure we address the concerns that they have. But we understand people aren't necessarily comfortable with that. So they can contact us through the same numbers that I gave earlier here, 978-928-1400 and extension 101 or 102. That's Sergeant Fort or myself at 102. And we may not get those messages right away. So if it's something, again, if it's an emergency, obviously contact 911. But if it's just a non-emergency nature, they can call the 928-1405 number to get the dispatcher, and they can take the information. They don't necessarily have to reveal who they are to the dispatcher, although they will probably ask them several times to tell them who they are. But sometimes, it depends on who they get.
Okay, but maybe if it's a matter of, residents, say if somebody complained about a resident, you wouldn't say, well, your neighbor called, that's not something you do.
Right, yeah, we're going to keep the information as confidential as we can, unless it rises to the, point to where it's, they're a witness to a crime or something like that, where they'd have to testify at court. That's, completely different. But otherwise, we will do our best to keep it, confidential.
Okay. Question number 10, what is the correct way to deal with fallen trees from storm damage? What are residents responsible for, and what does the DPW assist with?
Travis Brown, DPW Director. Trees on private property are the homeowner's responsibility. If it falls into the road, we will cut it back to the property line, and it'll still be the residents' responsibility to remove the tree part that we cut up. The trees that are on town property are the responsibility of the town / DPW. Only time the DPW won't touch any trees are around power lines, especially if they're laying against them. And then National Grid is called out by the tree warden. Or we can call, if it is an emergency, call Rutland Dispatch, let them know location by the closest pole number and on which road it's on, whether or not the tree is on the wires.
Okay, we do have a tree warden in town. You know what his responsibility is as well?
Yes, Jeff Bork. Anytime I have a concern, a resident may call, I will contact them at times and let them know, and he usually has National Grid come and take care of them. If they're like heading towards the wire and they're not on it. If they are on wires, then Rutland Dispatch needs to be called and they will call National Grid.
Okay, thank you. So number 11, people don't obey the laws about crosswalks, and I can vouch for that. I think all of us in town offices can vouch for that because it's a death-defying walk to the post office at the end of the day, every day.
Touche.
So, yeah, so, but they don't obey crosswalks, and this happens too many times every day, especially at the crosswalk closest to GFA and Clark's Corner. What can or will you do to prevent a tragedy from occurring at these crosswalks?
So last year we did do some directed patrols or activity at those areas. And I mean, I understand when we're sitting there, people, obviously they stop or they pay a little bit more attention. So we can do that some more again, probably. We'll just have to kind of know sometimes to, I mean, I have some times that we did last year that we'll do it again, especially with the nicer weather right now. Going to the post office is pretty dangerous, and I'm sure up at GFA they don't, you know, people aren't paying attention. So we'll do our best to get out there and be visible. And that's all we can do.
We all need vests, orange vests.
Or dress everybody up as a police officer, maybe.
There you go. Give us guns, badges, and maybe not the gun part, but all
We're
right.
gonna get deputized. We're gonna get deputized in the morning.
Yeah. So last question, and I know these are a lot of them on the website, but it says, can you please include email addresses for town departments and personnel on the town website? So not all of us have our own email addresses. If it's, say, for departments, the way the website's set up is a little bit different, you know, but we will work on that. You know, Erin does a lot of the website updates now, you know, so that I see her writing down notes, so I'm sure that's going on her list of things to do, you know, to make sure that that's on there. You can always, you know, give us a call or, like I said, find it. But, you know, we've talked about maybe doing a list of like, who do I contact for this and that? And, you know, that's kind of what this is doing as well. So people know who to contact. But, you know, like a flyer that's given out. So, you know, that will be worked on, like I said, by Erin. I can tell by her shaking and writing. So there was only one question in the chat. It came in and it said, can someone speak to the 1.4 million the town is set to receive from the COVID relief fund? Do we have any limitations on what it can be spent on? Do we have plans for the money?
So that's an estimated number. I just want to make sure everybody understands that we have not seen any official number from the federal government or from the Commonwealth. There appears to be 4 general guides to spend the money. One is to make up for lost revenue due to the COVID-19. Two is to pay for any services or capital improvements that we needed to implement for the COVID-19 pandemic response. Three would be to invest in infrastructure, that's sewer, water, or broadband. And the fourth is to cover any premiums that we may have paid for additional personnel or personnel working at the front lines of the pandemic. But these are general guidelines that we have not seen any specific guidelines from the U.S. Treasury Department. I took some training yesterday about when we can expect to see that. And those guidelines will typically take about a month to be promulgated by the Department of Treasury. So we're thinking sometime around the beginning of May, end of April, we should get a clearer idea of what the actual number is and how we can use it. We will be getting the money in two separate chunks, one in FY21 and the second one in 22. And we need to have spent it by 24. That's all I know at this point.
Okay, perfect. And then another question was Spectrum internet service has been terrible lately for so many of us home. This impacts many of us. Has the town spoken to Spectrum about their service?
I missed the last part of it. What was it?
Has the town spoken to Spectrum about their service?
I have personally, not on the town's behalf, but on my own behalf. And I'm telling you right now, Spectrum, just like every other internet place on the planet, has been caught with their pants down with this whole COVID. Everyone's at home on the internet. And no idea on what they're doing or how to fix it. I can't even make this stuff up. So answers I got when I probed and asked to speak to manager after manager, basically they told me that they're trying to upgrade the service area. And when I finally pinned them down on what service area they were talking about, it turned out to be the country. So on that note, I don't know how they plan on fixing it, or if anyone else has any better answers that they've received from Charter or anyone else. But yeah, basically that's where I got with them. And I hate to say that because it's super annoying because my internet goes out all the time too.
So we do have a cable committee in town. They do, or they are responsible, as far as I know, for negotiating the contracts for cable and things like that. I don't know when that contract was signed or when it is up for renewal. But you can always reach out to me in the town clerk's office or Aaron, and we can get in touch with somebody from the cable committee and see again if there's something that we can do on our end. No guarantees, but like I said, maybe it's something that could be discussed as part of the contract. So there is one more question that I missed on here, and this is the last one, and then if anybody else has anything to add. But it is, where can I find out about vacancies for committees, boards, elections, Board of Selectmen, etc. So there is a place online that does, under the hub, it's volunteer or employment or something it's under, and it does have a list of appointed positions in town. The elected ones are not on there because that is handled by myself, and the appointments are handled by the Board of Selectmen. We are opening for the town election. The town election is going to be on Tuesday, June 8th. Nomination papers are going to be available starting on Monday. There are multiple positions that are going to be on the ballot. And at this time, obviously, seeing people are just being notified now that their terms are ending. I'm sure that they do know, but there are 2 spots coming up for the Board of Selectmen, I believe 2 for the Planning Board, 1 for Finance Committee. There are a couple housing authorities. So that information will be will be posted on the website. Or again, you can always call me in the town clerk's office. It's 928-1400 and my extension is 202. If it's appointment wise, you can call Aaron, same phone number, 928-1400, extension 201. And Aaron, I don't know if you know off the top of your head what is open for appointments at this time.
I do not know off the top of my head. I do know that there are quite a few appointments that do have positions available that are open. So definitely check out the website. I am looking to continuously update that. So hopefully we can get all of that ready to go before anyone wants to go and seek papers. So it'll be a pretty quick turnaround on that, I'm hoping for. But there are current vacancies available on quite a few boards.
Okay, so there are volunteer positions, there are appointed elected positions in town. So if you're interested, reach out to us. We'll let you know what is out there. Appointments are a little bit different than elected positions. Elected positions, you actually need signatures, which I would discuss with you. So there are different steps to one versus the other. But again, we're happy to help. So that's it for all the questions that I have. That was it for the ones that came through the chat. There were only those two. So if anybody has anything to add it now. And, thanks everybody for coming.
I'm gonna say that that it's Whitney. And so in the beginning of the meeting, Dan was here, and I know that Katie wanted to address everybody about the town events, the special events. That is, germane to our economic development. So I want to, before everyone has their couple of minutes to make their closing statements, if they wish to, I want to allow Katie to talk a few minutes about the special events.
Thank you, Whitney. So yeah, so we
Sure.
have a few of them coming up. Frozen assets just sank. So all the information is on the town website and all that stuff. It sank on last Friday. So yeah, we had winners there. So that's good, but at least the ice is gone. So that means spring. So spring is coming, which always means the Hubbardston Fair, which this year will be on June 12th from 9 to 2 with a rain date of the 13th. I am accepting vendor applications now. You can find them on the town website under special events, or you can email me. There's a billion different ways. I swear I'm like the most easily contacted person in this town. All you gotta do is hit a button and it comes right to my phone. It's so much fun. But yeah, so you can send emails or messages on Facebook or whatever, and I'll give you all the information you need for any of this stuff. We also have the Dinghy Dash coming up at the end of August when the water is the warmest, and the fire department is always out there in the boat just to save anyone that needs saving because their cardboard boats sank. It's super fun to come and watch, or if you're brave enough to build your own cardboard boat, it's definitely a good day to be outside and enjoy the weather and have some fun and laughs, which right now everybody needs some. And then we also are working on the field day coming up September 18th with a rain day of 19th from 9 to 3. I'm working on that with the Lions. And again, I am taking applications for vendors for that. All of these are great days to be outside. We do have the Easter egg hunt coming up on the April the 4th at the rec field. It's a rain or shine at 11 a.m. Information can be found on Facebook. There's also the Hubbardston Recycling Day coming up from the Boy Scouts on the 10th. Information can be found on the town website and on the Facebook pages. And then the 17th is of April is also the Hubbardston Town, Keep Hubbardston Beautiful, Keep Hubbardston Beautiful town-wide cleanup. And the Girl Scouts have a bottle and can drive, again, at the rec field from 8 to noon. Information for that can be found on the websites and on the town Facebook page. So these are all outdoor events. They're all good to attend. Our small businesses are welcome to set up at the fairs to give out information and stuff like that. Contact me and I'll get you the information. But this all does go with community and building our economic development. All these events, it's, you can't have a good community-based, entity and businesses if you don't get them all together. So all these events are very important to the growth of our town. So please come, please, support everyone, support your businesses, support the town events, because it is very important. So, and that's all I got to say. That was a lot. Sorry.
Good. Okay. So I'm going to allow everyone, if they want to take a minute or two, to have some closing statements. If not, we'll I'll talk again. Anyone have anything to add or discuss?
Sure, I'll be happy to say something. I've just finished my third week on the job. I've gotten to know a little bit about Hubbardston. I'm going to be doing a lot of listening and a lot of questioning so that I can bring myself up to speed. But my early impressions is that this is a very well managed and very thoughtful town, and that it's got a lot of potential to it. And I look forward to assisting you in any way that I can during my tenure here.
Thank you.
So I can just let everybody know, like I said before, annual town meeting, so you can mark your calendar, is June 1st. The location is to be determined. I've been working with David, talking with David about where we're going to hold it. Obviously, it depends on, COVID guidelines at that time. Town election will be June 8th. And again, nomination will be, papers will be due on Monday. Or available on Monday, and the due dates obviously will be given once you pick them up. And then also dog licenses are due by March 31st. So if you have not registered your dog, please do so. If you have questions, there are multiple ways to do that. And then fines are implemented at a later time if they're unpaid.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your participation on behalf of our Economic Development Committee. Can't appreciate you more, and have a good evening. Thank you so much.